Are we good to go?
All right, good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We're live on 22. We're streaming to YouTube. You are being recorded, and you may begin.
Thank you very much, LTV. Welcome to the August 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. We have 13 applications before us tonight. Our meetings are usually every 2 weeks on the second and fourth Thursday of the month, but because of the way the calendar falls in September, our next meeting is on September 12th, which will be 3 weeks away. I have a motion to approve the minutes of our August 8th meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved and so approved. First order of business, change to commercial, 3 Mile Harbor Affordable Housing. It's a modification. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-122-7-19 and 20. This is 286 and 290 3 Mile Harbor Road in East Hampton. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. This is an application to modify a resolution for an apartment development complex on 3 Mile Harbor Road. The new application is to put the covered bus stop shelter in a new location, seen in the photo there, in the rear of the apartment complex furthest from the entry side. Previously, it was on the, as you come up to the top of the hill and right before the apartments start. We're also looking to approve the bus stop shelter design, which is a simple post and beam structure painted with a whitewash finish with an asphalt roof. So if we could just go to that, Will. Name that. Yeah, there are a few files. Let's see if that, I think this is it. Correct. So actually, let's go to the site plan. Previously, it was kind of as you drive up, yeah, exactly right there. And now it's in the rear. The direction of the traffic means the bus stop is on the driver's side. So this is, my understanding, this has already had planning department approval, but I'd be curious to know why that was placed on not on the side of where a bus door opens. But, and let's go to the design. Pretty straightforward post and beam structure to be whitewashed. Let's maybe zoom in on the section up there, the top middle drawing. So just a couple quick comments. The roof does not extend to the end of the eaves. We can talk about to the rafters. We can talk to the end that aligns with that. It's an asphalt roof. And zoom in even further, you can see on the base, be curious to know a little, the Simpson connector looks to be exposed. So we can talk about that. Is there a representative here from the town to discuss this? Housing Authority, okay.
Katie, come on up to the podium.
Good evening. I'm Katie Casey from the East Hampton Housing Authority. We're co-developing this property with Georgia Green Ventures.
Thanks. Just a quick question. Why is so this has planning department approval already, the location of this bus stop?
Planning board.
Planning board?
Yes.
Okay. Just curious, why is it on the driver's side? Do you just, one waits in the shelter and then walks around the bus when it arrives?
Yep.
Okay.
The original location of the bus stop was on a hill and a curve right after a straightaway. So we were a little bit concerned about line of sight. And there were also some ADA, being on a slope and that sort of thing. So we opted to put it on the back of the property where it's level and put the bus shelter there. And we intentionally placed it on the corner so that when the bus stops, all school children have to walk in front of the bus, not behind the bus. And we don't want them waiting in the parking area.
Okay.
So they have to wait by the shelter. When the bus comes to a full stop and the sign goes out, they all walk in front of the bus. Positioning it right at that corner with the back end of the bus would be blocking traffic, so it would be impossible to zoom around the bus. It's a physical barrier to somebody doing the wrong thing.
Okay. Can we go, Will, back to scroll down to the design of it? So, yeah, the only comments I would have on this would be the roof doesn't extend to the end of the rafters. I might suggest, I mean, I think it's just sort of a design move.
I think it was just an architectural detail.
I don't know how people feel about it. I would, just in terms of coverage, I might prefer it to be extended to the end of the rafters. What do people think?
I wonder if that, I mean, you're leaving the edges of the wood unprotected there, unless it's got a little flashing cap on top of each of those rafters. And if the point of this is shelter for people staying out of the rain or snow, seems like the more shelter you give them, the better. But you know, I don't think it's a make or break for me. It just seems like common sense. I don't know.
No, a bigger roof and a bus shelter is always better than a smaller roof, particularly when it rains or snows.
Yeah. In the base, what is it at the base? Is that exposed? Do you know what that material is at the base of the column?
The connector
Yeah.
is steel.
Okay.
It's probably a Simpson connector.
Yeah.
The collar that.
Right.
I
So
think
we
it
could have it like
specifies.
that, or we could clad it, just more detailing.
And it's labeled as 6x. Are they 6x6? I can't remember if it's 4x4, but they're whitewashed, pressure treated.
To match the supports for the second-story balconies. It's the same material, same finish.
So I wanted to ask you about that. So in the photo, what was up initially, those posts are not stained yet, but you are
Correct.
they're going to look really nice stained. Yeah. Okay. Good.
I mean, I guess I'm fine with it showing the connectors. It's not as elegant as having a base, but when you shovel it, and that would get, you know, if you clad it, it's going to get all dinged up when you get clean and clad. So I guess I'm fine with it. I would just suggest extending the roof. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see these Simpson connectors for the hurricane ties where the beam and the rafter connects. You see there in the lower right of the image, there's these galvanized steel connectors there. It's probably going to be the same kind of, you know, exposed bolts, exposed connectors, kind of that's the aesthetic of the thing.
Any other comments? Kathy?
No, I agree with Frank's comments about extending the roof. I think that's more logical, and I think it'll, you know, it'll be better in the bad weather, you know, sorry, yeah. I agree with the comments about the roof. I think the roof should be extended. Otherwise, I think it's fine.
Me too.
Okay. So I think our consensus, if you could extend the roof and make it a little bit longer, that'd be great.
I don't see why not. I think that was just a design choice.
Okay. So,
Easy enough to do.
Okay. So do you want to make a motion to
Sure.
approve it with the change to?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application as presented, with a stipulation that the roof extends to, the asphalt roof extends to the end of the rafters as drawn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Approved. Really nice project.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Turning out
I
great.
appreciate your
Great.
time.
And it's
your
about to open, right?
consideration. Yeah. A number of families have already been identified that are going to be moving in. This is the best part,
Yep.
frankly.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
yeah. I
Exciting.
remember when it first came to us for planning. How long has it been? How long has it
2
been?
years?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's not so bad,
Not
really.
bad.
It's halfway. Yeah, it was 2022.
Right. Amazing.
It looks great.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Exciting.
Second item, still under change to commercial, 71 South Emerson Avenue, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-50-1-14, and this is in Montauk. And Chris, this is yours.
Okay. Will, can you go back to the site plan there? This is an application to do something very similar to what we saw from the same applicant for that building that's on the diagonal there on the right, not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. It is basically taking in two existing buildings that are together form the compound of this hotel complex, and recladding them, refacing them. There's really no change to the architectural, certainly no change to the footprint. It's just change to the architectural exterior detailing, windows, roofing, siding, railings, decking. It's just to recap, the same materials that we approved for that other standalone project there across South Emory are going to be used here. It's a horizontal nickel gap cladding, siding, painted a Pharaoh and ball white. It's a very light colored standing seam metal roof. There you go. You can see that Ipe decking. And what they've done, the changes here are changes to the size and configuration of the windows. Make these, instead of windows, they're making them large sliders, and that's facing south and facing the parking lot and facing south toward the dune and the water. And you can see the Ipe decking, the cladding to the new fascias on the decking. What they've done here is to let's see. And there's new light fixtures, most of which are replacing existing fixtures. There are some that are relocated, and then the building that's to the farthest east is the straight building. There's an L shape and a straight building. The straight building has no lighting currently on it, so that's all new. What they're showing, the little dots of light near the doors and between the windows, that's just going to provide a consistent points of downlight, and at the doors they illuminate the room numbers. So this is what you're seeing from 27. As you're driving through town. It's pretty visible because there's no building behind it. It's kind of the back of the complex, but it's very visible like this. There's a swimming pool and a shuffleboard deck and things like that are out in the lawn between 27 and this, so it's pretty open. So you see this, and the stairs come up from the parking, and the walkway in the back and the doors in the back are how you access these units along that side. And if you go to the other side, the south facing with all the windows, you can see that there's also decking there, which is more like terraces for the units. There's no change to the configuration in that sense. It's just the same black Marvin casement and sliding window frames and this light colored standing seam. And then what they've done architecturally to change this is, apart from the finishes of the outside, they've also cut off the roof overhangs that are existing that we can see. Well, if you go to the photos, we can just run through the photos real quick. You can see that overhang on the roof. Yeah, I mean, it's in need of a facelift and renovation. This is under the walkways. So a little bit of a mishmash of windows and doors that have kind of been probably repaired in kind over time. Big clunky beams that come out. That's why in the elevation drawings you'd see that there's you see that beam in elevation. It looks a little confusing, but in 3D it's a lot easier to see. That's the stairway that runs between the two buildings. Two buildings are very close together, but they're only connected by that walkway. The railings are nothing to write home about. And if you stay on this photo for a second, the one thing that, besides the overhangs, that again, these overhangs are called out to be cut back. So you've got a really tight eave line at on both of the buildings as proposed. So it'd be curious to just to understand a little bit about that. Not that it's a plus or minus, but the other thing that's not shown in the drawings is these through wall HVAC units, and there's also a mini split outdoor unit that you can see in the far against against the wall there. Just wondering what's going to happen with air conditioning here, because they're not showing anything. So kind of like to know what the impact is going to be. This again is facing 27. It's not street front 27, but it's visible. So is the applicant here?
Yeah, Lori's here, sure.
Hi, Jean Galante from Land Planning, and the owners are here. So
Oh, great.
as you've gone through, Chris, it's basically the exact same project that you had approved. I think the resolution was dated May 31. So the same siding, windows, doors, roof, decking, railing, exterior lighting. Same colors, nothing, obviously they want all the buildings to be cohesive, so these two are going to match what's been approved across the way. But to answer your questions about the, what was the first question? Second? Air conditioner and the other thing.
Yeah. So we're going to add mini splits for all the rooms. They're going to be, if you go to the west side of the property, in between our building and the neighboring building, there's about 10, 12 feet that is actually underneath the deck walkway above. And it's just a large area. We're going to relocate most of them there, so you won't see them from the street.
Right.
That's pretty much it. So you won't see the window units anywhere, really. There won't be window units for that matter.
I got you. So you won't.
Yeah, exactly. On the left side of this image, it's kind of hard to tell here, but because there is that roof overhang, there's deck on the second floor, and then underneath that, it's just kind of a really dark but large space, and that's where we'll relocate the mini splits.
It's a long run for the east building, though, to get the condensing lines out there.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a second area. I know there's a couple of mini splits on that straight run building, the eastern building, that are on the back facing the pool already. So it looks like a couple might have been changed out. But is any plans for are you planning to put all of them on that alleyway?
Well, the goal is to have as many of them to the west as possible. We have a MEP designer that's working on that in detail right now. Fortunately, both of these buildings have a full basement as well, so we have a very, very clear open run underneath.
Great. Okay. Well, I hope that works out. It seems like it's a pretty straightforward project to review and
Huge
approve.
improvement for
Yeah.
Could you introduce yourself?
Sorry, my name is Marley Dominguez.
Okay, great.
And the only thing I thought was curious is, especially in the south facing, the roof overhangs probably cut down some of the solar gain in those enlarged window openings. I didn't know if that was, not that I think the overhang details are particularly attractive. It was just kind of a question about that, because certainly you're getting the ability to go up higher with the window openings, especially there on the left of that photo, because you're cutting off that sort of big, that whole triangle. So that wall becomes, maybe a foot taller or something than it is now. It's the same roof line, but it just doesn't have that overhang. I mean, it's attractive the way it is.
Yeah.
I just,
Certainly aesthetically, it's improved. There is a little bit more glass on that side. There's a little less glass on the other side. Obviously, the other benefit is more bright for the guest, a lot more sunlight coming in. And we've arranged a linear diffuser on the interior, so hopefully we create kind of a temperature barrier there, which does help with the efficiency. And obviously, we're adding significantly more efficient units than what's existing.
Yeah, no, I think it's really an improvement on the fairly rundown condition of what's there now.
Yeah. Diane, your thoughts?
I agree. It's a big improvement. Looks good.
Kathy?
Same.
Frank?
Yep, no objection.
We're good. Chris?
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve the project as presented.
Second?
Second.
Kathy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved, so passed. Thank you. Next order of business is under fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-16-2-38. This is 240 Fort Pond Boulevard in Montauk. And Chris, this is yours again.
Okay. All right, this is a project, there's, the Montauk project came before us for their sign recently, and there must have been, that's the sign as actually, which will probably come before us for a C of O at some point soon. So there it is. This is the view from the south, looking at a pretty heavily planted planting bed in front of some of this fence. Let's keep going, moving around. This is the backside facing toward the railroad station, and there's a stormwater drainage pond just beyond this parking lot. There's condos pretty far away on the other side of the street there. This is the fence that they're talking about right there that has the grass is growing in front of it. What it is it's pressure treated wood that looks stained or painted. This is the backside inside the patio of the restaurant, completely covered with actually really even hard to get to, completely covered with with planting on the inside. So we did receive a letter about this from the applicant, and it's something that you might want to have clarified. Let's see.
You want the letter?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't get a hard copy of it. We just had it emailed to us. I've got it here. That's fine. Yep. Okay. Not wanting to load. Now it doesn't want to load. Great. So maybe that hard copy would be good. Okay. In any case, the applicant, if they're here, maybe they can clarify some of the.
David, that's you, right?
Yes, David McMaster, 176 North Sea Road, Southampton, for the Montauk project, and my clients, Brian Seacamp and Samuel Bergson, are also here. They're the owners of the restaurant.
So in this letter, they're talking about, I mean, I know that this was a replacement of a fence that was code compliant, but I guess.
I'm happy to elaborate on this.
Yeah.
I sent another letter also early this week with additional information about the fencing that I didn't have when I wrote this letter. But the planning board approved fencing in the same footprint in 2016. There's no specific height on the approval. My clients purchased the property. They're the third restaurant since that site plan approval. Sure. And this fencing is specifically for noise mitigation. As you said, Rough Riders is there. It's built by a acoustical specialist. And I don't know if you want me to go into this spiel now, but
well, yeah, it has the jargon of the acoustic specialist was hard to follow. I mean, it's sort of talking about fractals and decoupled from the ground and not really. So it's like
fractals.
Maybe plain English.
I can just tell you that it's been effective. There hasn't been any noise violations at the restaurant the summer. And Brian, I don't know if you want to talk about the Rough Riders across the street. We asked if they would sign a letter of support, and my understanding is they would have, but they have to have a board meeting to do it. So we didn't get it to them in time, but they're appreciative and supportive of the noise mitigation provided by this fencing.
So Rough Riders is a condo complex across the street.
Yes.
And they're pretty distant. It's not right there on the front. The thing about this property is if you can go to the site plan, or the survey, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine view. It's like a traffic island. I mean, you've got the railroad station on one side, across County Road 95, which is Flamingo Avenue. You've got the fire station. You've got the commercial buildings that we saw not too long ago. And it really is, it has roads around it. The roads bleed into the parking area. The paving is just kind of a continuous sea around it. It sort of looks like it's besieged. So in a way, the fencing seems to kind of read as part of this complex. It's not as if there's a problem with the sight lines or the view corridors or anything like that. Already, this is sort of self-effacing property. They've got heavy plantings on Flamingo, where I guess noise facing the fire department wouldn't be an issue. The commercial buildings are probably closed there. The railroad station has its own noise and traffic that's, I would imagine this fence would probably be helpful for the owners to keep out headlights and traffic noise and things like that, as much as it is to keep restaurant noise from floating over to the condos. But to me, it didn't seem as if it's the intent of the ordinance. The fence height ordinance seems to be about keeping open view corridors and the character of the, especially in the residential areas. And this is sort of reading as this block of structure in the middle of a traffic island. So, that view is a real close-up view. But if you kind of click through the photos there, you can kind of see that the parking comes right up to it. You walk through under that trellis, and that's covering the patio. And I assume that the doors are open to the restaurant, so it's probably restaurant noise coming out through there. I suppose some sound attenuation is better than none, although I would imagine a certain amount of the sound would come over that anyway, no matter how high you're going to make it.
How high is the fence?
It's 6 feet high.
It's 6 feet.
And it's made of, it's horizontal pressure treated boards that are kind of
With like a rubber barrier inside of it?
it's got kind of a white, it's like a white sealant that
Like a
you can see.
sound buffer? And when you say it was decoupled, what does that mean?
So they're individual barriers. Each
side.
of it is separate, and there's almost what look like cones that are on the opposite side of it. So it doesn't actually link into the ground. I think that's what it means that it's decoupled. So it's just in sections that are,
It floats on the ground?
Can they be moved?
It's a hover fence.
You could move it.
That
They were.
I'm
Yeah, I mean, it was an existing fence on that location, and it's probably the same posts, I would imagine. Yeah. So, I mean, the posts are anchored into the ground. You can't let that thing blow away in a hurricane.
But the fence is not attached to the posts, or?
I think I have photos of it in my application.
Yeah.
It should be on there.
Yeah, there's some photos. I took a closer up view of the. You can see some of the white sealant that's in between the gaps of the wood fencing. There's a.
So is this going to silver out over time?
It's not. It looks like it's been stained or painted. It's kind of that mustardy color.
If I could be heard on that, really the secondary purpose of this is the pond, the drainage pond that's right across the street from that was installed in 2017, which is postdates the site plan approval. And from my client's perspective, the pond has just been a total disaster. If you can see the photos in my application, there's an algae bloom. It smells terrible during the heat. That water floods the property when it rains. The fence was installed so the restaurant customers really don't have to look at that while they're eating during their meal. And I would say that the color of the fence, when viewed in the context of the streetscape and the surrounding wetland vegetation, is more harmonious and pleasant to look at than if you just consider it in isolation.
They're also got parking right up against it, so they'd presumably be looking at, the 4-foot fence would help. A 4-foot fence would be perfectly fine for people seated in the restaurant or on the terrace looking out. They couldn't see past it, but you're still going to see you've got parking, some of it facing right in, so presumably headlights would come in right there.
Given the circumstances, I think it's fine. I mean,
And I think these photos as were taken quite a while ago, and the photos that I did from last week, that those grasses are starting to grow in quite a bit. So you can.
So it's not contiguous, is that what you're saying? It's like.
For all intents and purposes, visually, it's a continuous run of fencing there. It turns the corner on the left. There's a gate, and then I don't know if this application also includes that fence that's behind. It's on the south side. That's facing. That's behind the more heavily planted barrier there. There's a view that I took from as you enter the restaurant. You turn around and see that grassy area is where that stormwater pond is, and then in the distance you see the condos.
Right.
No, this application is just for the 77 linear feet of the fencing right there.
Will, can you go to the first photo that you showed? The one that I think it was the first photo of mine. Yeah, that one. That the same fence is behind that, and I don't know if the ordinance enforcement officers pointed that out, or but it's for all intents and purposes, it's the same height and same look of fence as well. But there again, I mean, there you really have to go close up and almost into the vegetation to see it. This is a little bit more visible, but.
And the point of the vegetation is to cover the fence?
Yes.
Eventually it'll grow up so that you won't see the fence. Is that the point?
I mean, I don't know if that seagrass is going to grow, the beach grass is going to grow tall enough to really completely conceal that. But, they've got they're sort of shoehorned in with parking and that patio. And so there's really not, I don't know if you could make a wide enough planting bed to do what you're doing there.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough room for that.
But it softens it anyway.
I think given the circumstances.
Yeah.
It's a 6-foot wooden fence in a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's been painted. Are we comfortable with it or not? Or do we want to change it?
Yeah. Chris, what's your view?
My view is that it kind of, as I said, it kind of reads as part of the block of the structure. And it's which is all kind of a uniform block in the center of that essentially large traffic island. So to me, it's a kind of a unique circumstance that doesn't bother me particularly.
That seems necessary.
You're okay with it, Dan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't object to the fence. I don't love the color, but I suppose the grasses will cover that.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Looks better in person.
Okay.
It's better than black. Frank?
Don't go there. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too.
Okay.
All right. So I'll make a motion to approve this this application as submitted to keep the existing non-conforming fence.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right. So unanimously passed. Thank you, David.
Very much.
Yep. Still in fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is 11 Flag Avenue in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-30-4-3. Kathy, this is yours.
I think, sure.
The applicant
Is
here?
the applicant or a representative here? Hi, are you Mr. Perilla?
Oh, good. Okay, so Kathy will go over sort of an overview, and then we'll ask you to chime in.
Right, so this is an application. It says construction of a new family residence, but we're not approving the residence. We're just looking at the wall.
Correct.
Yeah, so, and there's a wall here. It's basically a retaining wall, and it graduates from the front there, which is maybe 16 inches back, excuse me, to about 56 and a half inches. You could just scroll through the photos. Well, that piece was perpendicular to the house, and this goes across the front of the house. That's parallel to the house, and that is between 55 and a half and 56 and a half inches tall. And then this wraps around the side of it. So that graduated piece goes up. It makes kind of a zigzag. And then the piece goes along parallel to the house, and this goes alongside it. It was built without approval, so we're trying to approve it now. There is some fencing on top of the, not on top of the wall, but behind the wall. If you can enlarge the photo, you'll see it. There's some wire fencing there, just in front of the plantings. There, you can see the lavender is sort of in front of them. I mean, it's hard to see. It's,
It's little squares, yeah.
yeah. So, because you had a question about that, I think. right?
Well, you're going to
Yeah.
need is a fall barrier if there's habitable space behind it.
Right, which I think is what it's mainly vegetated, but
Is that fence 3 feet high?
I did not measure the fence, but my guess is it's.
Looks like a little shorter, maybe.
I was going to say it's 4. I think it's closer to 4.
Okay.
It's not, I didn't trouble myself to measure the fence because I was there to look at the wall, because we're not approving the fence, we're just approving the wall. Anyway, this is, I think it's okay. Apparently, I don't have the document here, but I guess it's in the, yes, I do, that the graduated part of the wall sticks into the right-of-way. It's only 8 feet, it's not 20 feet. It doesn't, but there's apparently.
Can you zoom in on that, Will?
Department, has signed off on that, which is, a letter that we would need for that, yeah.
Okay.
So it's that concrete, as you can see on the survey, it goes, could you just follow the line of it for me, Will? It goes down, and then it goes across, and then it goes down again. Yeah, come across the ramp. There's a ramp. The other side of it is on the opposite side of the ramp. There you go. So that's the line of it, and there's a little gap there for the ramp for the downstairs, I guess.
So this is a new house that you built. So what was there before this wall was built?
Well, the house, we knocked the old house down. The natural grade of the property really stayed the same. I really just cut into it further to make more room for the cars.
Parking. Okay, so it was like a little slope.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So you
And
took the slope out.
honestly, if I knew that, if I knew it was an issue over 4 feet, I probably would just added a step in the front and make that wall comply. I was just completely unaware that it was not complying over the 4-foot line on the front of the house. So it really was an oversight. But that is how we designed it, and that's how the drawing was submitted, but no one ever caught it prior to construction.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard unless you have spot elevations on the drawing that show, building inspectors are not going to necessarily pick that up.
Yeah.
They pick it up during an inspection.
I don't.
How high is it?
It's about
4 feet, 8
56.
inches.
Yeah, it's between 55 and 56 inches. It's.
I think it's nicely done. It's clean.
Yeah, it looks fine. I mean,
I think
yeah,
you're stuck if if we went to the kind of extraordinary measure of saying, no, you've got to raise your parking level or drop that patio up above to make it 4-foot compliant, you're looking at a lot of work, and then
Yeah,
you'd have problems with that ramp that goes down to the basement area there as well. So
I don't have any particular problem with the height of it. I just think it's white and it's sort of, it jumps out. Of course, the day I was there were 4 cars in the lot, so you couldn't really see it, but.
Well, it's sort of a natural stucco color. Is that, you didn't paint it?
No, it's white. It's not.
Well, there's one portion of the house that's stucco, and it's all consistent with that.
It's a design thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, just looking at this photo, it just sort of reads not as a fence. Is that what this is before us? Because it's
That's
technically
walls,
a fence.
gates,
It's a
berms.
wall.
Berm. It's like it's a
berm.
wall.
I mean,
it's
to me,
fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is a wall.
Yeah. To me, it looks
so-
like part of the house.
Yeah, it almost
Composition.
reads like the foundation. Yeah.
But to me, it reads like the house's architecture and
Yeah,
looks
it's
like
like
a freestanding berm. So I think I'm okay with it.
I think I'm okay with it.
yeah.
Chris, everyone?
Yeah, and then there's just administratively how we deal in the resolution with how to deal with that 8 feet that encroaches in the
Yeah, I'm
right-of-way.
pretty sure that there's a letter from the, that says that.
No issues.
That they're okay with it. That's, that's what happens
Great.
if we have these. And it's a smaller road, it's not, it does extend out quite a bit, but, So I'll like to make a motion that we approve this application as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Frank, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still in fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is 52 Fairlawn Avenue in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-28-2-2.1. Oddly enough, Kathy, this is your.
Oddly enough. Now, is Mr. Nolan, is that you? There he is, okay.
Darren Nolan, yes.
So this is 52
Hi, Darren.
Fairlawn
So
Drive.
she'll make a few comments, then we'll ask you to chime in.
Okay, no problem.
Right. Could you start with the survey, please? So this is an application to legalize 5-foot-tall fencing and 2 sets of driveway gates. So the first problem I have is that most of what we're asking to be legalized is not on this applicant's property. So if you can just enlarge the survey, that would be helpful. So the fencing, it's one of those old houses.
Old
You know,
Montauk. Tudor
Yeah,
house.
yeah, exactly, the Tudor design, and, I'm sure a lot of this was just, somebody's one built it, but it's not, the fencing along the south property line is not on the property, so we can't approve that. And the gates are within the town's right-of-way. They're not depicted, there's a note that indicates they will be moved 20 feet from the edge of pavement, but it doesn't indicate where that would be on the survey. So that feels a little deficient to me. And the fencing between the gates is also not on the property line. The northern property line, could you just scroll down a little bit? Thanks, Will. That the fence seems to be there. There's a very mature hedge on both sides and in the front, because it's an old lot, but it has steep slopes as you go to the back. And then if we could just scroll toward the back of the survey, as you can see, and then there's wetlands. It's if you could just maybe, see that pink line over on the left? That's the wetlands boundary. So that straight line in between the pink line, and there's some drawings there that is a proposed pool and deck, indicates the distance from the wetlands, and that requires a natural resource special permit. And in the instances where it does not meet the criteria for the distance, it might need a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's my understanding that it is in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals for to renew an NRSP that was granted to them for the property a while back. My question is that the fence that they want approval for approximates the distance from the freshwater wetlands. It's not noted, as you can see, but it's that little curved area there. I don't know, Will, can you follow where the fence comes in? And see, so it's not too far from the distance for the, say again?
That's in the rear yard. That's not ARB jurisdiction. That fence is in the backyard.
It's a 5-foot fence.
But it's in the backyard, so it's not under our review.
I thought this was on the side, that this is, you're calling this in the back, it's not the side. Yeah, I'm not, right, I'm talking about the piece on the side.
Well,
Where it ends.
you only have jurisdiction for the first 30 feet. Everything in the back is out of your jurisdiction.
Okay, all right, well then, so then they can have a fence of any height back there?
Up to 8 feet.
Up to 8 feet.
Up to 8 feet.
6 foot.
Okay. And so, all right, well, I'm just making note of that for what it's worth. It might need a freshwater wetlands permit. But in any case, that's the only part of this that we could actually approve, because everything else is it's either not depicted on the survey or it's not on the property.
Right.
So I don't know what to do with it, frankly. It feels a little unfinished.
Well, could we see a picture of the gates? Because that's one of the first things.
Yeah, the gates don't really match the measurements that were submitted. The posts on the gates one of them is 80 inches and the other 3 are 72. The leaves are not measured from grade, so the submitted information is incorrect.
So Darren, do you want to come up and fill us in? Sure.
Go ahead, questions?
Well, just tell us about your plans a little bit.
Sure. So when I purchased the property, a lot of the perimeter fencing was a bit of a mishmash. There had been a previous application for a pool. So there'd been a ZBA approval, I believe, for the location of the pool relative to the wetland setback. The footprint of the pool has been modified slightly because I changed the septic system last year from the rear yard into the front yard. That was an old concrete septic system. The fencing along the side, to your point, I don't even know, to be honest. It's not even mine. It was there when I bought the property. And these are old and in poor shape, which is why they're trying to be revised, be brought back into conformance 20 feet back from the road.
The gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nice old gates. They're like
Yeah, exactly.
English
But just the
country gates,
location's wrong.
but they need to be stabilized.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're a little wonky, yeah.
No, those are all going. They're old, rotten old gates. So, and they're on the wrong location as well. So they're coming back 20 feet from the road. And they'll be
So it's your proposal to replace the gates?
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that wasn't, it says to legalize these gates, to legalize
Oh,
the
sorry, that
existing
should be
gates.
clarified. No,
So that-
they're really old and they're in poor shape.
Okay, well, that's why I was,
So you'll replace them with exactly the same, or?
They'll be the same. They'll be painted, but they'll be the same style. Yes.
Will it be in the same location or moved?
supposed to be, they'll have
At the
to be
back, they're not
moved.
conforming right now.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the right of way at present. So,
Okay.
and the fence that's in between the two of them is also off your property line, just,
And they'd be manual gates or,
Manual. Yes.
okay.
Does the survey show the proposed location or the
It
existing?
just says 20 feet back from the road.
it does not show the proposed location.
Which I think legally we need to have.
That's my point, is that there's so much on the survey that's sort of
The survey says
incorrect.
existing to be moved, so
Right.
it's confusing.
And it doesn't say where, it doesn't even indicate like where they might be moved. It says.
So you have to mark that on the survey.
Sure,
The
the 20
Surveyor has to
And I
indicate
think if you're
that.
gonna, I mean, if you're gonna have new gates, I think
Call them out as new.
well, we need specs on those gates,
Sure.
what they look like.
Yes, we need to just, yeah, the design of them,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
transparency and
Okay.
so forth. And if you want to replicate the ones you have, that'd be great.
They will be,
We
yeah,
like
yeah.
that design,
Sure.
but they would also have to, the measurements have to be more precise.
How tall can they be?
Well,
How tall are those gates?
Up to
5 feet?
6 feet.
Yeah, but what's the height of those gates now?
well, they vary.
Okay, because they're sagging.
Yes, so that's a little bit of
That must be
the
a
problem,
4.5,
yeah.
5 foot gate.
Well,
the height
the
of the
leaf
leaf on the
itself
left?
is 51 inches. It
On
goes
the
from
left?
like 51 to on the left.
Okay.
59 and a half.
But it looks like it's almost a foot above
Okay.
grade.
Yeah, it is. It's roughly a foot above grade, but as you can see, it like clunks down. They're old and they're sort of, sagging. Yeah. So, but the posts are high. The one post is 80 inches. We don't need to be that high. So, we would recommend, I don't think the height of the gates as they appear here is objectionable, especially because, there is a grade, there is a little bit of a curve, they're going to have to be up off the ground a little bit. But that would all need to be submitted, what the height of the leaf has to include the space beneath it, the vacant space beneath it. We call that grade, from the grade
Sure. So just an
to the
elevation
top of the gate.
basically.
Yeah. And then, and I don't know what to say to you about the fence. It's a shame because that vegetation has been there for ages. I mean, the fence is like well ensconced. If it were on his property, I would recommend that we approve it, but it's not his property, so we can't. Because it's going to be a devil of a thing to get it out of there. They
This
just
is
did.
the fence between the two gates?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
All
embedded
of the
within that.
fencing is in, the fence between the two gates, yes, but also the fencing along that. If you go back to the survey, please, Will, you almost always anticipate my needs, and I love that. But the southerly, the one on the bottom is kind of the southerly property line. Yeah, that's all just outside the property line, and it's within a hedge. The hedge is like on both lots.
But is that yours?
Do you own the neighboring lot?
Fence.
I don't know. Is that
Oh, it might not be his fence. Well, I don't know, it's depicted, they're asking, that's the only fence that's on that side, so I assumed it was his fence, because they're asking for approval of the fence.
On both sides, there's presumably other, there's lot 53 and somebody else's property there to the north.
Come back here. If you put everything at 4 foot, you never have to come back. Just saying. 4 foot, you're good.
So all the existing fences that
You cut everything down to 4 feet, you'd never have to come back.
And the gates too.
Not going to be able to do that, though.
Wait a minute.
So you're allowed to have 6 foot in the rear yard as of right, and you can have 4 foot in the front yard as of right. So if you wanted to keep your gates the way they are, and they're 4 feet, you don't need approval from us.
But aren't they in the right of way, Charlie? Doesn't he have to move them back because they're in the right of way?
Yeah, they have to be
So
20
if-
feet.
He doesn't need any approvals at all from anybody.
If he moves them back 20 feet, yeah.
If they're in the right location,
They need replacing anyway, so I'd rather do, the same height. So I can bring them in, that's not a problem. The existing fence is a problem. So you're saying cut, if that's not my property, how do I deal with that?
well, maybe you talk to
Well-
your neighbor. I don't know what to say.
What's important for the survey is if it's your fence, it should be on the survey.
Right.
If it's not your fence, it can be on the survey, but it should be noted that it's not
That it's not your fence, right? If it's not your
Because-
fence, we don't have to worry about it. Let that be your neighbor's problem.
Ask your neighbors, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. If it's not your fence, it's going to be a bonus to you.
Right.
If it is your fence between two hedges, I would suggest going in there and just cut it to 4 feet in.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
I would like to recommend, frankly, because I think that the vegetation there is helpful, but the 5-foot fence on the northern property line, I don't want to make him go in there and chop that down to 4 feet because he's going to have to wreck the hedges to do it. They're deep,
Yeah, none of it's
lush
visible.
you
vegetation.
don't even see the,
You can't see it. I mean, it's 5 feet and it's in there. That's what I was saying earlier. If it was all on his property, I would just say, go in peace. But the fact that it's not is problematic for the obvious reason.
Right.
And the northern, I would say
Why are you
that's,
saying it's not on the property?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused as well, actually.
It is in the property.
uh,
This is the property line.
I'm saying the northern is on the property line. We are in agreement on that. That's the one I'm suggesting that we approve. The southern property line, it is not.
This one also, is this not the fence and that's property line? So here I'm
Which fence are you talking about here?
What?
This section, but this is in the backyard, so again, it doesn't matter.
The front,
It doesn't matter that
Out
it's
of our
not on his
jurisdiction.
property.
It's out of our,
It's-
it doesn't need an approval
is
from
it-
anybody.
do you think, Charlie, do you think this property has do you think this is a 30 feet front yard? This is a 30 foot front yard setback?
So where does the rear yard start for the side yard fence?
It's
30 feet back.
30 feet from right here.
Okay.
Well, that's great because it's all, but isn't it still not?
It looks like it looks like the first section of that fence is all on the
I don't
property.
know how we can- All right, well, then the front one is,
How tall is that fence?
Says 5 feet.
it's 5 feet also. It's in between the driveway gates and it's also buried in a hedge. So, and I think it's, it's old. It's not, I don't have any problem with that, but it's not on the property line so far as I can tell. Will, can you help me out with this? I mean, am I reading this thing right? I went over this with Will. I went over it with Morgan, pardon?
It's, this scale on the survey is 1 inch equals 30 feet. I mean, it's way back. It's like 70 feet off the road, where the fence starts to go off the property line.
Yeah. So our
Okay.
side yard fencing could be approved if we decide that that's okay. It's just it's the one on the left-hand side that's the street front, which is in the right of way.
Right,
which
but
is an
it's
issue.
not- Isn't that along the southern property line? Isn't it off his property?
It doesn't,
no, it's north of the,
This is the property line right here.
Yes.
This is the fence. Which is inside of the property.
Okay, so what is the wire fence in the back there? You're saying that doesn't
Not a-
matter?
This is not, again,
it's not our part of, it's not what we're reviewing.
Right,
that's
but,
an area that's allowed to be, it's not reviewable by the
So let's
ARB.
just focus on the
The building
front.
department can have a question with
Yeah.
it, not us.
right, okay.
So let's
So
give
what
us-
about the front? The front wire fence looks to me like it is off the property line.
It is.
Okay,
Okay. So that's your fence, it's in the front yard. So that fence has to be dealt with. And I think on the gates, if you want them close to where they are now, 5 feet-ish, you have to come back with specific specs of what those gates are going to be.
Okay.
And then you need to move them back 20 feet, as you've noticed from the
yeah, they have to
just the
be,
gates and the,
posts. And the post and the gates need to be the same height.
so, and this fence along the front, which is embedded in the.
That should
Yeah,
leave. That has to
unfortunately,
go.
yeah.
So the applicant is clear. So the things we're asking him to
yeah,
is the front yard fence along the street needs to be moved back, correct?
Yeah, it has to be
The other one
on
is
his property.
the fence, the proposed gates, if it's to be built in kind, moved back. The new proposed location needs to be put on the survey, so it's on record where the proposed fence will go. And then we'll need a proposed elevation of the gates, even if you're rebuilding it in kind. So
Yeah.
as noticed, just make sure that the top of the gate is noted from grade and not just the leaf.
Right.
And include the dimension of the actual boards, if it's like a 1 by 5.5, 3.5.
And what the spaces will be, what the transparency is. I would recommend that you would move your fence back to, because it is not only not in your property line, but it's also in the right of way, which is the problem with your gates. So if you want to connect the gate, the way this is functioning now, you've got to, I don't know what to say about the hedge. That's also in the right of way, but
That's fine. That's fine.
you'll have to remove that fence. And if you want
Just
to
on the inside
put
of the,
another fence up, you can connect them to the gates. That's what, you don't want to put the fence on the other side of the hedge, because even if it's on your property line, because then that'll be within the right of way. You've got to bump it back to meet the same criteria as the gates will.
Wait, the fence doesn't have to be 20 feet in, surely?
Yes, everything, there's 20-foot right of way. That's,
It has to be 20 foot into my
The
property.
gate,
No.
only the gate.
Only the gate, not the
Gate
fence.
is
so a fence can be in the,
20 feet from the road bed because it's for emergency service vehicles. That's it.
and so you can put a fence in the right of way?
I
No.
didn't say that. I said
Okay.
The gate needs to be 20 feet from the road bed, just the gate. The fence.
Okay.
The fence could be an
The fence
inch.
just has to be corrected, just bring it into the property
asking-
line. Right now it's over slightly, yeah.
So are we okay with a?
Even if it's in the right of way? I just want to
The fence will be
understand
out of the
this.
right of way. It'll be on his property. He understands.
But it's very tight there, is what I'm getting at. It's pretty tight. So I'm just trying to avoid the problem from coming back and us discovering that the fence is in the right of way. Pardon me?
It's in the hedge, it's not blocking any access.
I understand. It looks fine the way it is, except it is not on your
Right of
property.
way is the driveway, the hedge is not a right of way.
She's talking about the right of way of the public road.
Of the public road, yeah.
Roadway.
So far as I understand, you're not supposed to have a structure in the right of way, whether it's a gate or a fence. Is that correct,
That's correct.
Charlie?
That's correct.
Okay.
The highway department signs off on it, like we just did in the last.
Right, I get it. Okay, but that's atypical. It's not,
they do it a lot.
we typically don't advise people to put structures in the right of way. So I'm just trying to, if he's moving the gates, it just seems sensible to have him move the fence too, or remove the fence, so that when he has the survey redrawn, he doesn't have to go back twice. I'm trying to simplify this.
Let's just talk about the height of the gates. The gates are over, they're 4.5 feet now? Is that right? 55 inches?
But I think the height issue is just one sagging.
How high are the gates?
So-
Normally? 4
So
feet?
it sounded like they vary, but the height is just below 5 feet, 60
Yes.
inches.
Okay.
So here's my recommendation also, is that the posts go quite high, not to speak for the board, but keep them at the same height of the,
Yeah, we would probably approve gates that are this height, but don't go higher. People go, okay.
Yes, and the posts need to be brought down.
Yeah.
So, but you'll need to submit the drawing, which is what Frank's saying is the elevation, and they'll give us the design and what the finish would be, what color you're planning, et cetera. And then you have to relocate them on your property.
Okay, so Darren, you're clear?
I believe so.
Okay.
We'll send you an letter with all our suggestions.
Okay.
you can rewatch this on YouTube in
Yeah,
case you
if you-
missed something.
Got nothing else to
Thanks
do.
so much.
Okay, next item, we're into agricultural overlays. This is 15 Roberts Lane in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-1-2.4. This is mine. Well, we have 2 pictures, I think. Okay, so we're focusing today on this temporary hot tub. This is an application to approve a small above-ground movable hot tub on a 3/4 of an acre lot off of a small cul-de-sac, which is off of Roberts Lane. This is up by the Iacona Chicken Farm. The property includes a main house, garage, and a swimming pool. That is the garage we're looking at. The hot tub is tucked between the back of the garage and the pool. It sits on a rubber gym floor tiles. It is moved away in the winter. So this property is deemed an agricultural overlay. It is far from any fields or agriculture, and there's a 20-foot wide conservation easement on the other side of the house that has no impact on this. This is a very temporary structure. It gets put away in the winter. I see no reason not to approve this application. Any comments or questions from the board?
No, it seems simple.
Okay, how nice that is. So I make a motion to approve
Well, I
this.
think he wants to say hello.
Oh, hello, sir. Come on up. Hi.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Paul Penaki. I'm a neighbor of Mr. Burr,
Your neighbor. Okay.
11 Roberts Lane.
Okay, so you're beyond him?
He's on, as you go into the driveway, he's on the right, I'm on the left. My house is facing the sea.
Yes, we've been to your house for other
Yes,
things.
right.
Yes, I've been to your house. Yes. What would you like to tell us?
No, just Mr. Brian is away, so.
Oh, you came as his representative?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
that was
how
nice.
What a nice neighbor.
That was nice.
Right.
Okay, it's a very nice little street. We're good with it, so we're ready to
Good.
move on, okay?
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
So I make a motion to approve this application as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay. Second, in the agricultural overlay district is 38 Association Road. This is in the Georgia Association, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-3-48.1. And Diane, this is yours.
Yes. This is a application to build a new house, to replace the house that we're looking at on the left. That is the sort of driveway of it's a flag lot. This is a very beautiful, sensitive location at the end of Association Road that is a property on the ocean. This is the existing house and garage. This is with my back to the ocean. Let's go through the slides of the existing conditions, existing house. This is standing in front of the grassy dune. So this is the location of the new house is basically going to replace this house, but it's a very different house and a very different configuration. You can clarify that, Eric.
That's fine, I'll let you finish, Diane, and I'll.
Okay. Okay, this is so, okay, so this is if, so you reach the beach by walking up a wooden little bridge. So this is, I'm standing on the bridge. This is the neighboring property to the east, and this is a very iconic property called Kilcare, which is much closer to the ocean than the house that we're considering. So I'm standing on their bridge that they walk down to the beach from, to give a sense of place. Okay, this is drops down right to the beach. So this is the house. This is what we're replacing, and this is what will remain, this dune. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the walkway,
Okay.
the bridge walk.
I don't know if the walkway, I mean, the walkway is not considered in all of the things I've seen, but, so you see that this house now is 2 stories and it's on flat ground. The house that's being proposed, which we'll see soon, is, it's 1 story above ground. And it's a completely different house. Wait, go back to my pictures, Will. Okay, isn't there one more with the, yeah, okay, so this is the side yard. This is the existing very, very modest little swimming pool. And so you can see what the property is like. There's a lot to talk about here. And they have given us piles of information, piles of everything you need to know. Our planning board, I want you to know, has told me that they see no problem with this house. when I first looked at everything, I was sort of overwhelmed by now let's look at, maybe we should look at do we have is that the most recent? Is this the one with the wall heights? Yes.
There, that's a good one. That's a great one to show.
Yeah, that's a good one. And this is from the landward side, from the driveway. I want you to understand that it's a 2-acre property, but only 1.3 acres of it is buildable. And this house as it's planned there's only sort of 15 feet on either side of it from the property line, and it will be very close to the driveway on this side.
Where is the ocean in this rendering? Is it
On the other side.
to the right, or is it to the left that way? Which side faces the ocean?
The back.
The back, yeah, back.
I mean, this is the entrance, which is presumably on the north.
Yeah.
Which side of this is facing the ocean?
You can see the ocean, Frank. It's to the right. There it is, right there.
Okay, so that other wing faces east.
That block, the side of that block faces the ocean, and the other block on the left is perpendicular to the shorefront.
Facing east towards Georgia Pond.
And let us see.
And presumably this is not a final, okay, well, that's more of a landscaping plan, but presumably
There's a
that
lot to
last.
see. What the retaining walls measure from 1.5 feet to 7.5 feet. So where does all that earth come from? This is,
To fill in.
yeah.
Well, it's essentially a 2-story house, except that the first floor is all walls to elevate the house to where the second floor would normally be.
Right, exactly.
And it's elevated because of FEMA regulations?
It's from what I understand it.
Yeah.
Do we want to have maybe like a bit of an architectural introduction?
Okay, can I just finish
Oh,
though?
sorry.
Okay. So as I said, I'm curious about how it works, and I would like everyone to understand that it's the coverage of the house. I mean, they're allowed 8,297 feet, and they're proposing 8,274 feet. So it is maximized. And
Floor area
that's
total
floor area.
coverage.
Yeah. No, that's not coverage. That's
Square footage of the house?
yeah,
Floor area.
buildable building. The first drawings I saw didn't have a retaining wall in front of the pool. It looked like a big glass box, which I thought was very daring. And I wondered, being so close now to the dune and the ocean, how sensible that was. But now these are newer drawings that have been submitted just this week. And I see that there's not one but 2 retaining walls around the pool. But the pool is very big. It is 19 by 50. It's almost 1,000 square feet. It's very, very large. And being so, I mean, the pool of the existing house is so modest and so discreet and way to the back. I mean, I found it surprisingly bold somehow, this pool. But as I said, the planning department sees no problem. And aesthetically, I mean, it's a very interesting approach, and I think it's much more, I think it has much more style than what was there.
And that house that was there is only about 15 years older?
Late 90s, early 2000s.
25
Yeah.
years old. Okay.
So,
Okay.
So Eric.
Eric, all yours.
oh, thank you very much. Eric Brown, Ackerman Partners, 34 Panago Road for the applicant. Do you guys do the planning staff review first, or no?
just read that? Okay, all right, fine. So I want to thank Will for a very comprehensive memo. As Diane mentioned, we did submit comments and materials that were responsive to the memo at page 3 that came in last week. I'm joined tonight by Ed Hollander from Hollander Design. Ed is the principal of the firm that's doing all the exterior, the walls, the swimming pool, all the landscaping. I have Glenn Cordova here from BMA Architects. He is responsible for his firm is responsible for the design of the house. Just some housekeeping on what is there now. None of the structures that are subject to FEMA regulation that are on the property now, which would be the pool, the garage, and the main house, are FEMA compliant. I believe they started out when it was originally built as FEMA compliant, but as all of you know, in 2007, FEMA revisited all the maps and all a lot of its regs and changed a lot of those standards so that many houses that were formerly in a less restrictive FEMA zone are now in a more restrictive one. Additionally, the house that is there was granted in 2001 relief from the iteration of the current iteration of this board for the additional height for a gabled roof house, which is that is 255 1172E3, and so the house is already it is legally, in terms of height, it is legal, but the height is legal because the board exercises its discretion at that point. When the team was first put together by the property owner to do this project, or undertake this project, we were told he really wanted 3 things. One was a one-story house. Second was a house that conformed with existing zoning at the time. And the third was he wanted it to be FEMA compliant. And so in answer to Diane's question, this house is further back because we needed to pull it further back to achieve the heights that we need to make it FEMA compliant. And I know that Will had some questions about grading, and I can tell you that all the structures that are depicted, the heights of those structures are measured from existing grade. But Ed can certainly talk to everybody about how the grading is going to be done, and Glenn can speak about that as well. We've submitted, I do not have the lighting consultants here. They were unavailable to come, but we did submit information on that as well.
And landscaping.
Yeah, that's not us. And Ed is also conversant with it as well. So to the extent that, I know all of you like to talk to the design folks as opposed to the lawyers, I'm happy to sit down and let them talk. I think the plans have been circulated both to the neighbors immediately to the north and the gentleman immediately to the east, who is the gentleman that originally developed the house that you see there now. They've also been taken to the Georgia Association. They have a committee that looks at these sorts of things. As far as I'm aware, maybe they've sent something into you guys, but we have received nothing in terms of, we don't like it, or we'd like to see changes, or any of those things. So that's kind of where we are.
So Eric, this the house that's there now was part of Kilcare's property at one point. It was a subdivision.
Yes, it was. That's right, Chip. Yeah.
Is the backstory that the house that's there now is going to be moved to an adjacent lot?
There was some discussion with moving it, but I think the problem with that is the location to which it was going to be moved already had a couple of houses on it, and I think they ran into the issue of I don't want to speak for Joe Palermo, but I think he was a little bit uncomfortable about moving another house. Because obviously, once we're through this process, our client would like to begin the construction. And the last thing we want is for this house to sit here for, 15 years while they try to figure out, wherever it's going works out, and so that's, so that was an idea, but apparently that didn't pan out.
No, that's relevant, but it's
right. It's not going anywhere.
So what would help me is if we had some drawings or elevations. I've been on the property to get a sense of where is, if there's a drawing that has a site plan with a proposed house.
There's a lot of site plans.
Okay, so the proposed house relative to the existing house, and then a section showing where is the existing house and its FEMA, versus proposed? Is the height of the building going up? It's sort of like a section, I just want to know the profile of this house
The site section.
versus the existing, and also
Oh,
if you
that's
happen to have a
interesting.
drawing with the dune, because I recall the house is actually like, there's the house and then it has the lawn and
It
then it
sits
goes
back
up to the
behind.
dune.
I've never seen
So-
that.
In front, yes.
Right, so where is the roof relative to the dune? And I'm also curious, where is the height of the house relative to the one to the west of it? I don't know, you may not
Okay.
have that. but-
I don't know that we have that, Frank.
Okay.
I don't know that we have.
What we're looking at, the top of that on the right-hand corner is the access the road in through the Georgia Association.
Right, yes,
The big
right.
property with the circular driveway is Killcare, the
Correct.
iconic house.
Yep.
And then this house is the next house.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
This house is going to be moved back, but it doesn't
Correct.
have far to get moved
Doesn't
back.
have far to get moved back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very
the
tight
driveway's
now,
there.
actually.
Yeah, it is tight now. I mean, a lot of for instance, the garage is obviously going away completely. And then once you take all that, the wing and the front part down, there is some room to move back towards the driveway. Not tons, but it's enough to get us to a place where we can achieve, FEMA compliance and stay further back from the dunes so that we don't have any issues with an NRSP or a variance in terms of either the dune crest setback or the beach grass setback.
So the driveway to this property we're talking about ends at that property, and then the driveways to the two houses on the left, they're off of Town Line Road?
Yeah, that's exactly
Beach
right,
Lane,
Chip.
Beach Lane.
That's exactly right,
And
yeah.
there's a little walkway that takes people to Beach Lane? Is that what we're looking at, in those two white lines that go all the way out? Where the driveway ends on this house, why are the jog and the white line? Yeah, what is that thing, that little walkway? Right there, what is
It
that?
looks
Yeah.
like, it-
Oh, there's
Looks like parking.
that attaches this.
So you can walk to Beach Lane if you want to,
Theoretically, you could.
but
Looks like parking.
you can't get through there. Okay, so the driveway ends at this house and that's it?
Right, that's just the lot line. That area has been eliminated for the benefit of the other property owners on that side.
Okay, I would love to run through some of these site plans and sections,
Okay.
FEMA drawings, to just get a better sense of. For me, what's important to know is what is the height of the existing house versus what's the proposed? Because it's obviously these roads are all private, but this is, a lot of fishermen, a lot of people go down there to Georgia to fish, and there is, you have to walk, but it is sort of a trafficked area and considered very scenic. So I'm curious what the profile of this house is now versus what we're
height.
proposing here.
Sure.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Glenn Cordova, the architect, so that
You can speak architect.
Hey, everybody. Glenn Cordova from Be My Architects. To answer Frank's question, the existing house right now is at 35 feet to the top of the highest point on the ridge. Our maximum height to our top of ridge is 31.6. So we are retreating.
that's including those raised terraces.
Correct, yes.
That's from
Yeah.
the existing grade? Yeah.
Yep, from existing grade.
So it's actually going to be lower?
Correct.
Do you happen to have can we see a sec? Do you happen to have, we might not have it then, but what would be really helpful, and I'm not sure we even would need this, but would help to know just a site section, here's the existing house profile with the first, and then here's the proposed house, and you're shifting it back. So almost like a long section with a dune would.
Well, on the survey.
But
you can-
it's encouraging to know that the height of the house is going down.
Yeah.
And it has much less presence too, because it's three smaller wings and gables, so it's not going to have this big box-like presence
Massing,
like the
yeah.
previous house.
The existing house has it's overly large presence on that property.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was built, people wondered about it, I remember. Okay.
So it's essentially it's three gabled masses with a glazed central gathering area, connecting them up there on the.
Correct. And
Between
most of
those
the
two.
glazing that is on the ocean side, that's the main living core.
We talk about the materials, like on the siding, roof,
Sure.
Yeah.
We have I can show you.
I mean, there's all sorts of, it's gotta be another elevation, right? I mean, can we look at the rest of this?
Yeah, we're doing that. Yeah. I can answer your question.
Wow, bigger than it seems.
Here's that picture.
Yeah, it's just exactly what I'm showing him now. So
This is in the package, correct, yeah.
Okay. So you're taking a flat,
Low-tech way of doing it.
Yeah, no, we got
Yeah, there you go.
so you're taking a flat lawn and you're gonna sort of make a meadow and then grade it up a little bit?
Right, I mean, we're gonna preserve all the dune, there's a little bit of lawn area, probably less than what's there now. Then some bayberry and beach plum and things like that as we approach the house. That's a close-up so you can see,
Yeah.
how this all ties together. So it's a very compact kind of house, pool, terrace, all kind of ties in together, and just floats a little bit above the ground.
How much are you raising grade there at where it meets the house versus?
We're basically trying not, since we know we have to build from existing grade and we can't elevate that. So it may be 6 or 12 inches, but we're not trying to raise the grade. It's a reasonably flat site. We're not trying to pretend that it's dune. We're just trying to use the native vegetation to start to soften the scale of this a little bit. Frank,
So-
the wall that includes the front edge of that swimming pool is a few feet back from the 100-foot setback.
and it's 7.5 feet.
So they don't really have very much room to change the grade from that bluff setback line to the beginning. So that shows.
So-
That's specifically the wall. not
So-
the reality
Yeah.
of the wall.
So what's the elevation of like this terrace or this floor versus the main I know it's an upside down house versus the main living space of that house?
I mean, where is this in relation to what's there now? I think our FFE is lower.
It is.
Okay.
It is correct to be, yeah.
Okay.
And it's only it's one story.
It's one story, it's not upside down.
We can't elevate it.
It's only upside
So you're
down in the
taking-
sense
you're
that you're
taking a-
having to walk up from the parking up.
You're
Taking a
up
two-
to
You're
the
taking
upper
you're
living
taking a
patio.
two-story FEMA non-compliant house. You're making it one story and in that top floor, you're moving it down. So actually the elevation of this main living space is lower than the existing house's main living space.
Correct.
That's correct. And again, just to be clear.
Should have said that from the outset.
Yeah, just to be clear, in terms of the lowest level at grade, we can't have anything down there. So it's been shown with, flood vented breakaway walls. FEMA allows us to have, as you guys know, a parking area with an egress means to get up to the living spaces, but that's it. And that's all that's being, proposed there.
Okay. So we were going to talk about materials.
Well, there's
So it's a
lots of
cedar
information.
shingle house for the wall material, cedar shingles on the roof as well. We're looking to provide a stain which would match this sample right here. It's kind of a weathered gray stain, just to look like the outside of this building almost, really, like, to promote even weathering throughout the surfaces. The windows are by a manufacturer called Skyframe. They're an anodized aluminum, and they would be in this champagne color, which we think complements this very nicely. It's not very stark, but it's very subtle. Just gives a little bit of a sheen. There's a little bit of metal detailing around some of the punched window openings that you can see in this image right here on the left and then on the right. That would be made out of the same kind of metal. So it's just about a 4-inch casing that comes around. But projects a little bit, but adds a little bit of modern detailing to this. And then the paver material is Valders for the wall and the flat surfaces. And that's basically it. The chimneys would also be Valders as well.
What's the field stone that's in the application materials? Where's that showing up? It's showing as wall material, but
Other side.
that's on the water side?
That's on the ocean side.
Correct.
That's on the ocean side?
That's the ocean side. This is that.
be the infinity edge that the pool water is running off. I see, so that's the weir wall.
The rear wall, correct.
But in this landscape thing you just showed us on your laptop in here, it looks like it's stucco. So.
Nothing, we can't run water over stucco. Then
we're suggesting that the Connecticut, the granite Connecticut fieldstone is the best material to use for that rear wall.
So that's going to be a slightly canted, we're
Pretty vertical.
pretty vertical, but it's only at the infinity edge of the pool. So the water is cascading down over that.
So then this is not accurate? This looks like it's stucco to me. This is not.
That was when we did that, we were still thinking it might be boulders. I think
Oh, okay,
A little bit of question, is it
Okay.
boulders, is it fieldstone?
Okay.
Our client has asked what this is all going to cost.
Okay, so this is evolving.
There's many iterations.
Yeah. So at some point, we're going to just need the final iteration. Yeah, okay.
The one where the pool was all glass was really.
Yeah. The glass pool is gone.
They're never, even I won't glass.
That was just a bad rendering of the water edge, yeah.
It could have been a reflection of water.
Oh, okay, okay. So to answer Diane's question, where does all the fill come to elevate this thing up? Where does it come from?
I don't think there is any.
There is no fill. The only fill that would be involved would be within these retaining walls. But that's it. So that fill you would have to bring on site because we're not.
You know, for our planting there too, we may have 24 meters soil.
Right.
We don't have to fill. I mean, they may backfill with sand for the structural integrity of the wall.
Right.
For our plant material, we need about 24 inches of material.
Right. So the planting level may be below the top of the wall?
Yeah.
Okay, correct. Okay. And you really think
And then
those
what?
sycamore trees are going to live in that environment? I see they're sycamore
By
trees.
putting them in the corner behind the house.
Yeah.
If I put them at 5, sycamores are the most salt tolerant trees that we find around here.
Yeah.
These walls are 7.5 feet.
Kind of protected area. which
Lovely.
They're never gonna
So
get
there's
to
going to
use,
be
but we
2
don't-
feet of
really you're
planting
using
material. And then
Umbrella.
what?
A little
I
bit
don't
of shade
understand
and
it.
spring lights.
Filling in
Oh, it's true.
Okay.
topsoil on top of the sand. Okay, that's.
To the railings, I know that was a question in,
The glass railings?
yeah, railing.
Oh, the glass railing.
Glass railings, metal cap, yeah.
So my initial sort of reaction to this design is, I think about this relative, like really is like, what is the profile of this as you're walking on the beach relative to the existing house? And it does seem to be, at least the initial impressions, it would really help to know like 2 sections. Does the house getting wider, like sort of, but it does seem like my initial read is that it has a lower impact visually than what's there now, which is,
That was the intention, correct.
Yeah.
big selling point about this.
I think it differs a bit better than the existing house to the kind of iconic neighbor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an incredible view.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
I have to admit that I was sort of so overwhelmed by there's so much information that I didn't really delve deeply into the lighting plans and all the every little detail that you propose. But I guess we need to.
Well, I don't know if it seems that some of the renderings are not fully representing the some of the materials, like the questioning around the pool area, but I don't know if that's.
I think we need complete final
Yeah.
presentation. I mean, that would also reduce the amount of stuff we have to look at because I think having been a little bit unsure of this application when Diane and I first talked about it, it's a lot better than we thought because we have to understand a house that's there now is being removed, and that wasn't particularly the best house for that site. And this might be a far better house for that site because it's lower and it seems to hug the land. It's just that I think we haven't seen houses like this elevated up off the ground very often.
No.
The tension that we're experiencing in the town now between the aesthetic review and, for instance, the ZBA's concerns about height and the FEMA regulations in terms of where you have to raise it up to make it FEMA compliant.
Right. At the Jersey,
I understand.
I mean, at the Jersey Shore, this house would have been up on stilts, correct? Yeah, to make it compliant. Yeah, okay. And so it's not on stilts. We've just altered the land to bring it up. Yes.
Yes.
Well, you're really not so much altering the land.
You filled in,
I think
you've created some walls to.
Yeah.
Correct.
Stairway just now that leads up to the pool.
It's creating creating that raised plinth, the living
Show
plinth
that
level.
slide prior to that one. The one where you see the stairway to the pool.
See, that seems to
It's
go up.
very substantial.
It's 7.5 feet.
I mean, we could raise the grade to reduce the height of the wall.
I don't think there's that much room though between your buffer setback
There
line.
isn't a lot. That's why we've tried to utilize
7.5
native
feet, that's a
planting
little
to try to, in effect, bring down the view of that wall without bringing
Yeah.
material.
You're stuck. I mean, you can't, that 100-foot buffer setback line is determining the grade you have to keep to, and then you've got FEMA. So
Standard setback from the, I mean, this is a flag lot, so there is no.
A stone's throw from the
Flag
dune.
lot, there is no front yard, so if we push it further back, then we're in violation of the setbacks from the,
Right. Yeah.
It's quite beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'd have to completely reconfigure because you're the farthest north part of the house is actually almost right there. You've barely got the turning radius to get into the garage underneath. So
The ocean side. We have
it's
that
there's not much room without redesigning everything to push that.
So what's the grade about at the bottom of those steps, like the grade at wall versus 7.5 feet, you said? No, like right now, just in the renderings, like what's that, like 7.5 feet, that wall you
I
said?
think that's the maximum height of any wall is 5 feet up, but as you step up to graduated walls, the difference between
No, I understand.
the terrace elevation and the
Talking about
existing
the
grade is about
visuals.
7.5 feet.
Saying overlay, right?
Yeah, there's one,
Yeah, and the existing deck is higher than that.
annotated with the
It's like
wall height.
12.
11 feet up.
Yeah,
This is bringing this whole thing
Yes.
down by 3 or 4 feet.
right.
7 feet,
Yeah.
5 inches.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
the main living space deck of the existing house is and that living floor is higher. That's a true upside down house, I imagine.
So we would need, I guess, final drawing showing the, because I guess we talked about, like, there was in this presentation, Valders, Fieldstone. So you'd come back to us with basically final elevations,
Yeah.
some renderings.
You're not, it's not hidden.
Site sections.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would actually also help your case if you had, two site sections showing the outline of the house in the like finished floor, in your finished floor. It's going to hopefully show the profile of this whole thing coming down, which is.
And the pool is on the
I don't know if this is,
side, really.
I think it would also be a telling view to see kind of a view like this, or maybe one further away from sort of, farther beachward, a night view.
Yeah, I'm
I
curious about the.
was thinking about the impact of
Glazing,
lighting,
yes.
impact of lighting from a house, and we're concerned about that. I don't think there's anything we can do about this, but the biggest problem these days seems to be actually, again, this is outside of our purview, is like 100-inch televisions. That's like the worst thing from a beach. It's not, sadly, I don't think there's anything we can do about it unless it's an outdoor TV, but.
I mean, you're also looking up at the ceiling plane, which can have an array of downlights, which is not technically exterior lighting, but it's incredibly visible.
I think you'd be blazing down on the side that is across from the agri-turf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Because I know you guys are concerned about light bleeding onto the agri-turf.
I think some site sections would be useful because Diana's pointing out this, the dimensions that are shown on the 3D views on like this view. It's, you're looking up from the existing grade, you're going 7'6" up to the first retaining wall, and then a 2'6" step up from there up to the main patio level. So basically 9 feet up from grade. It's quite,
Well, it's essentially the first floor of the existing house.
It is the first floor. So and as I said, it's, they don't have, on the seaward side, there's not a lot of room between the 100-foot buffer setback line, or top of bluff setback line, where they can't change the grade to where they then have to get up to where they are FEMA compliant. So there has to be FEMA compliant, you have to make that step. There's, as we discussed earlier, there's no place without creating a very thin house that runs east-west. There's no way to push this house further back to allow for increasing the grade. And then when you increase the grade in that dune area, you're wondering, well, where's that dirt going to come from?
Yeah.
This is completely sand fill and then topsoil for planting.
Yeah.
So
Try very hard not to import filth.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
poor Phil, he's
Okay, so where do we go from?
So I guess so we'll need final drawings, of what we now know will be the fieldstone wall for the pool. I'd like to know I think it's going to help you to know like a section. You can even do it all the way to the ocean and show a scale of a person, top of dune crest. What's that view? Top of the house going to come down. So sure, that would help.
Is the intention also, I know this is rendering world, so you don't always have a chance to be completely accurate about it. I'd have to go back. I don't remember on the site plan, on the planting plans, but is in these renderings, it's showing us like a lot of grass seaward of the house and the retaining walls. Is that the intention? Because I know it's kind of lawn now, but are we, those renderings are looking like it's more native plantings and dune vegetation that might help to stabilize that and soften that grade change.
The only proposed lawn is really that little strip of green in there.
Right.
On the back, on the backside?
Which is there.
On the ocean
I think
side.
there's a lot more than that there now. We're actually increase the dune plantings further seaward. I mean, the main thing I have to do for someone who's building a house on the ocean, make sure the house stays there and doesn't wash into the ocean. So,
but I think this is doing you a disservice. This
yeah, that looks like
it's a plain line of grass and then a 7'6" sheer wall, which is not what you're showing in the
Yeah, blame it on the Lord. He said, make it blame this right. And that's why I really wanted you to see kind of this, because this is really what it's going to see and what it's going to look and feel like. We're obviously never going to just have blank walls. What we've tried very hard to do is to make this house a good neighbor. Understanding that, this is one of what you're going to see walking down the beach. It wants to be something that's complementary, not something that's going to stand out.
The poison ivy will grow beautifully up that boulder.
I'd like to grow out here. But to keep people out of the dunes also. They only walk through it once.
Yeah. Okay.
We try to mix some ticks in with the poison ivy.
Oh, man, alive.
Where's the septic system?
The back, so.
Septic system, I think, is in the northwest corner.
Correct. Under the driveway, or?
No, there's a little area. Yeah. Do we have the survey?
I'm looking at one. Let me look at the other.
I think this, he located up.
Oh, over there, yeah. I got it, okay. Okay.
Show it for the public too, maybe on the screen.
I think in general, the Valders is a nice buff. It's a very light colored stone and a buff colored. I think it'll complement the beach, the sand
Colors,
nicely.
I think, seem good.
Obviously, the cedar is working to the same effect. Again, that view at night could be, pretty much of a beacon there on the beach.
It's gonna be bright.
Well, we could limit the lighting on the beach side.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do about the glow from the interior of the house other than say.
Well, the glazing, I mean,
Use the
on the
glazing,
beach side, it's over 50%, right? The glazing. And the rest of the house, it's rather modest.
Yeah. Okay, so.
What's the discussion? Go ahead. Why don't you like the Valders in front of the pool?
It's a cost issue.
Okay.
Either we've done a lot of these houses with Baldwin, we've done other ones with fieldstone. The fieldstone is less expensive. It's got to be a granitic fieldstone to allow you the water to run over it. Will the fieldstone feel more appropriate?
Balders is nice.
Part of it's aesthetic, part of it's cost.
could be acoustic as well. I mean, that the sound of that breaking over the fieldstone is the water breaking over the fieldstone can have a very different effect than a sheer wall.
The alders there is nice, but okay.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about, okay, see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Joe McGivern, are you here representing this applicant, or are you here for this application?
This is yours there.
I was basically listening in. We represent the next door neighbor that was interested in moving the house.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to, I was going to speak to Eric offline that we had resolved our issues with moving the house.
So you're inclined to do it now?
I can't speak for the client, but we resolved them with the building department.
Okay, I mean, we would obviously be favorable to a house being moved rather than a house being demolished, but that's sort of yeah, okay.
Another issue, right?
Thank you.
Okay, I saw you raise your hand at one point, so I wanted to,
Because I was like, no, we've resolved our issue.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
This big swimming pool, no, but everybody feels fine. Secure about it.
Next topic, extension of time. This is 541 East Lake Drive in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-6-2-3.1, better known as Inlet Seafood. Kathy, it's yours.
Yes, this is an application for an extension of time for some work that was proposed, oh yeah. So, excuse me, for work proposed that was actually approved in 2018 to construct a 5,520 square foot, two-story ice house with a footprint of 3,520 square feet, 400 square foot proposed office building north of the proposed ice house, and 370 square foot second-story deck extension on the western side of the restaurant, and a 50 square foot deck extension to the southern side. Both decks to be covered with awnings, and the awning color was to be cornflower. The applicant has received an extension of time also from the planning board for the site plan. That was a key element of their approval process, and I see no reason to deny the extension. I would recommend we approve it, but I just wanted to reassure the board that the site plan has been also extended. That approval ran out. They're two different approvals, just so, you know, we're not working at cross purposes with our sister agencies.
I don't see any argument for not
No,
extending.
same. Yeah, we should do it. I'm just trying to get the process clear. So I'd like to make propose that we approve the application as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I thought you were
Okay.
second.
I guess I can. So the extension of time is approved.
Okay, good.
Issuance of certificate of occupancy. Diane needs to go, so she's the last certificate of occupancy. We're going to move her to the first. So this is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-154-1-4, 321 Town Line Road in Waynescott.
Okay, this is a rather simple, this is the part of Town Line Road that is also almost in Sag Harbor. And we are approving, an existing 8-foot-high black mesh deer fence with round wood posts along the sides and rear of the property. All fencing lies behind the house facade. That's where it begins. It's clearly behind the house facade. This is really sort of in the wilds, and it seemed very appropriate to the.
Oh, I remember these guys. Yeah, this was nice. Yeah, they did a great job
Seemed
with the
very, very
re-veg,
appropriate.
right? Yeah, they had a role.
Everything is
Yeah.
way well beyond
Right.
the facade of the house. So I would, if no one has any other questions, I would like to make a motion to approve this application for a certificate of occupancy and to instruct our staff to notify the building department that it is ready for a C of O. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. So passed. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to go back to item number 9, the first certificate of occupancy application. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-199-1-1.2, 47 Town Line Road in Waynescott, and this is mine. So Will, you're with us? Okay, that's a good way to start. Okay. So let's just look at the photos quickly. Let's run through, there's 5 or 6 photos. Different facades of this house. Okay. So this is an application to approve a new and very sophisticated house with extensive landscaping on a 2.7 acre lot off a common driveway that actually comes off of Town Line Road. However, the property overlooks Wainscott Hollow Road, and it looks across Wainscott Hollow to that Osborne farmhouse that was moved and is awaiting restoration from the development that took place off of Wainscott Hollow Road. A large agricultural easement separates this house from Wainscott Hollow Road, and that's going to be left just the way it is. We approved the plans for this house, pool, sunken tennis court, and patios in May of 2022. The lot coverage is about 2/3 of what is permitted. This is a sensitive design for a 6,800 20-foot square house clad in natural red cedar that really embraces the land and respects the views of all the neighboring properties. 2 changes have happened, though, since we approved the plans 2 years ago. The gable roofs are now metal. They were initially proved out to be cedar, and they were switched to metal to put solar panels on the east and the south-facing gables. And that is in place. I walked around it. I met the owner. I met the builder. It's LaGuardia is doing the landscaping, and they're just finishing it up. I don't see any reason not to approve this. The subtle changes are not material, and we'll just approve it as built. Is that Steve? Is that you? Yes. Okay. Steve is the architect from James Merrill. You want to come up and tell anything I missed, or?
No, all good. I'm just here if you have any questions.
Okay. Any questions, Frank, Kathy?
No, I think the dark metal roof actually makes the solar panels stand out less.
Yes, I didn't even notice
a good move.
Yeah, the solar panels are a good thing, so.
Also, the pitch of the roof being on the second floor, it's really not noticeable. It doesn't appear to be.
It's, I mean, as we look at properties on Wainscott Hollow Road that are being developed, this is a very good model for something that fits in with the neighborhood.
Agreed.
Okay, so we're all good? Okay, so I make a motion to approve this application for a request for a C of O and instruct staff to notify the building department of the same.
Second.
All in favor? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so passed. Steve, we're good. You're done. Okay. Next one is 9 Old Orchard Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-142-1-11.37. This is in East Hampton. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. This is an application for a C of O. This is a property that is adjacent to an ag reserve, so it falls under our purview. It's a pretty wooded lot, but there were some, actually, I don't know if you have access to it, Will, what it was previously. It's kind of a good, what people will understand what we did, where on the entry side, there were these like faux barn, like horse barn doors. Chris, you wouldn't remember it, but this is last year. It was from May 11th of 2023. So while we're looking at that, or searching for it, the house appears to conform to everything in the resolution that we approved. There's one exception. Let's see, the photos, maybe they're there at the end. No, that's the one we just looked at and close that.
It was sort of a stable.
9 Old Orchards. Is that the one? Did it have? Yeah.
It was a stable.
And there were
Looked
like
like a
4 or
horse
5
stable.
of them?
Doors, yeah, in a row, yeah.
There were a number of them,
Right, so it's simplified. It was all
apartments,
filled
I think.
in with shingle siding.
May agenda, and there should be photos on that.
Yeah. Again, it's not necessary that we do this, but I think it'll help explain what was done. Okay. Well, let's just go through these.
I know what you're talking about.
Let's just go through these. So that's the side facing the ag reserve. We approved all this work. It wasn't quite clear about the white frames about the window. It's kind of drawn in, but not really. But I'm fine with it. It's a fairly wooded lot. Let's keep going, Will. Yeah, that was what we approved. You don't often see butt glazing in residential, but that was. So the one thing that doesn't conform, which I don't have an issue, is the roof line there, which is, you can go to the next slide, I think, Will. Yep. And if we can just look at the architectural drawing of what was approved, I understand why they did it. This is not really visible from anywhere but on the property. It was supposed to have basically 2 slope roofs in elevation.
That's the last one.
No, you can close that file.
We're looking, this is 47 Town
Yeah,
Line.
this
We
is-
need
we
9
need to
Old
close this.
Orchard, yeah.
I know, this is the wrong house.
So under May 11th of last year, would have the architectural drawings. Let's see if they're.
Oh, that's the old, there you go.
There it
Those are
is.
the old
That's
ones.
it.
Yeah, that's the old picture, right.
So the roof has been replaced with a standing seam roof. There was some work on the gables. That's all been, the elevation's just been simplified. Let's just go through these photos. Oh, okay. Yeah, that didn't change much. Now, okay, so the backside, go back to the previous slide. So the reverse side of the garage is supposed to look like that, but it's not. I don't have any issue with it. I understand why they did it in terms of.
In other words, they kept the shallower,
just
running all the way to the end.
you know, there's more interior volume. I get it.
It's
Oh,
backed
I
up-
see what
it's
you're
backed up
saying.
to a wooded area there.
Okay, now I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. So you can just, let's just actually close these. So do we have access to those architectural drawings? Yeah, let's go down to whatever elevation, almost.
Yeah, that all, is that the front?
There you go.
Is that it? No. No, that's the existing. I think this is an old, go down,
Well,
not
this
up.
would have been what we
Go down.
approved, right?
Yes.
Go up. Now, where is that drawing? Like, this doesn't seem to be,
No,
I mean,
I think if you go up that,
there's a drawing set. I think this is the one that we said didn't have enough information or something. There are elevations that say existing and proposed. It's the matching elevation. There's the existing and the proposed.
But that
Existing above, that's not it. I don't think this is the right drawing
but that
set.
elevation does show the 2 different pitches. And there, in the as-built photo that you said, that there seems to be like a little teeny vestige of.
I'm going to try to just pull this up.
Crashes into the,
Is this it, Frank?
Yeah, here we go. It'll be a back side of that. So keep going down. Stop. There you go. So bottom drawing, you see how the roof pitch is supposed to, they took the cupola off.
Right.
The roof, so just leave that. So the roof pitch is basically the volume is supposed to stay the same, but they changed that. The photo will show it. I think we should just approve
and
this
there is
as
a little bit of that steeper pitched roof that sort of seems like it's left over and it's still on that corner of it.
You see the corner.
And if you go see the photo of the as-built, there you go.
Right, there it is, yeah.
So that's the only change. I don't have any issue with it. It's a little odd looking, but I don't object to this. So I would suggest that, do we want to ask the architect to submit an as-built set for record?
I think we should.
Okay,
because-
so-
because- Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to, are we okay with this? So
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to instruct the staff to notify the building department that this application has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution, provided the applicant submit a revised record set of architectural drawings.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So passed.
Great.
Thanks, Frank.
Under certificate of occupancy, this is the Pachico Deli, 480 Panago Road in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-166-6-1. Frank, this is also yours.
Okay, this came before us recently for an application for a CO. Everything checked out, but they had like
lighting,
ribbon
right?
lights
Yeah.
in the window, which they've removed. So it appears to be complying with our, with no additional lighting.
Great.
So I would like to make a motion to instruct the staff to notify the building department that this application has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So passed.
Okay.
Last but not least, 52 Jonathan Drive in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-188-1-11.2. This is mine. This is an application, okay, that's the front of the house. That's a good place to start. So this is an application to proceed to a CFO for a 9/10 of an acre property where 8-foot deer fencing was installed on the two side portions of the backyard per our resolution of November 30th, 2023. Two gates flanking either side of the front of the house were also relocated. So one is on the right where that arrow is, and the other one is, that's it. And then the other one is on the left on the other side, but both behind the front facade of the house. This has been before us in the interim, but we needed an updated survey, which we now have. 6-foot stockade fence across the back of the property was pre-existing and is not part of this application. There's a lot of natural vegetation surrounding this house. Fencing and gates have been thoughtfully and professionally installed. I see no reason not to approve this.
Okay.
All in favor?
You
Second.
make a motion and I'll
Second.
second. Yeah, okay, there we go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So passed. This concludes our meeting, and I'd like to close the meeting. Can I have a second?
So moved.